I love using credit card points and miles to travel all around the world. I use points to stay in hotels for $0 and to fly economy or international business class to places I only used to dream about. Because of this, I usually apply for credit cards that earn hotel points, airline miles, or transferable currencies that can turn into airline or hotel points. But today you'll see me apply for the US Bank Triple Cash, and emphasis on cash because this card has no ability to earn travel points. It's just cash back. So today in this video, you'll see me apply for this card and I'll tell you why I'm applying. And of course, we'll go over the card details a little bit. But yes, we do need to start off on why I'm trying to earn cash back. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm somebody that travels the world as much as I possibly can with my wife, Jenny. And in fact, right now I am in Chile, right near Patagonia, and we're at the southern tip of the world because recently we decided to do something absolutely crazy and book a trip to Antarctica where we can step on our 7th continent. And so why do I need this cashback card? That's because the Antarctica trip that we booked, with it being really expensive, it also would not be a good use of credit card points for any type of redemption. So we just decided to spend a ton of money on this trip. When I'm going through the process of spending a ton of money, I want to make sure that I'm hitting one or multiple credit card welcome offers, because you can get either a ton of travel points or, in this case with the US Bank Triple Cash card, $750 of cash back when you spend $6,000 in the first 180 days. And I really liked that I would basically be getting a $750 discount for making this $6,000 purchase for the Antarctica trip. But if you want to step on the continent of Antarctica, a trip for two is going to be more than $6,000. So that's also why I not only wanted this triple cash card, but I also got another card recently, the Bank of America Alaska Airlines card. I also absolutely loved that this card had a 0% intro APR period for the first 12 months that you hold this card. Now, I definitely wouldn't recommend everybody go out and apply for cards for this reason alone, the 0% intro APR, but this truly is a business expense because we are going to be filming this and putting it on our other channel, Jacob and Jenny, where we travel all around the world and film our experiences. And so it is a business expense, and I knew that we would be making enough money in the next 12 months in order to pay off this purchase. So just to recap why I'm going with a cashback card right now, it's just nice to get a little bit of a discount on this purchase, especially because I have a lot of other travel points like hotel, airline, and transferable currency points just waiting in my balances. And so I didn't need to apply for another card right now that earns travel points. And so cashback, let's get a nice discount on this trip. Okay, so then now let's just really quick talk about some of these card details, and then we'll get into my application. So first off, we have talked about this $750 welcome bonus that is going to be in the form of cash back. And it doesn't say like the minimum spend or anything up the top. So you click on this one, it takes you to the terms and conditions. And in really small print, it says that yes, you will have to spend $6,000 in the first 180 days from account opening. And this card is really special because it comes with no annual fee. Not a lot of no annual fee cards are going to come with a welcome bonus this large. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is a business card. So not every single person is going to be eligible for this. Of course, if you do have self-employment income of any kind, you could apply for this card and be approved as long as they like what they see on your application. And then scrolling down a little bit, you get some of the more card details, including 3% cash back on eligible purchases at gas, EV charging, and also office supply stores, cell phone service providers, and restaurants. And then also 1% cash back on all other purchases. And what's interesting here is this is a no annual fee card, but it does come with a $100 credit for recurring software subscription expenses, such as FreshBooks or QuickBooks. One more thing before I go to the application page. I needed to mention that US Bank is typically thought of as somebody that doesn't like high velocity. So basically that means that US Bank, if you've been applying for a lot of cards lately or have been approved for a lot of cards lately, US Bank will tend to not want to approve you for new cards. Between personal and business, I had 3 card approvals in the last 6 months, 5 card approvals in the last 12 months, and 11 card approvals in the last 24 months. But if you only look at personal cards that show up on your personal credit report, I had 1 card approval in the last 6 months, and that same 1 card in the last 12 months, and then only 3 personal card approvals in the last 24 months. And if you want to look at that a little bit deeper, I found out that US Bank was most likely going to pull my TransUnion credit report, and so for that I only had 1 hard inquiry in the last 6 months, and then that same 1 hard inquiry in the last 12 months, and that same 1 hard inquiry in the last 24 months. So I felt like I was in the right position to be approved for a US Bank card, even though they don't necessarily like people applying for a lot of cards, like I have been doing for the past 2 years. Okay, so on to the credit card application. You can find this same page that I've pulled up just on the US Bank website. I don't have a referral link or anything like that for this card. It's just the public link right here, $750 in cash back. So you click apply now. And then it's going to take you to the application, and we'll start going through all the different screens. And I actually have a really crazy story once we go through all of this, and it's pretty wild. So here, it's just gonna be some basic information right off the bat, and then you click save and continue because there's a bunch of different screens that you have to go through and to see if you're gonna be able to be approved. So you put in your first name, middle name, last name, mobile number, email, and that's it for this screen. So I'll put it in. There's a progress bar at the top of the page saying now we're 10% complete, and then you have to put in your business information now. So choose your business structure. I chose LLC, but I know that a lot of people are going to choose sole proprietorship. Then your business name. Then we have year business started, business phone number, and gross annual revenue. 20% done now. Let's put in the physical address of your business. So street, city, state, zip code. And then if you want additional addresses, you could put a mailing address, for instance, and then you put that in there. Now the business industry, you put in your NAICS code or search using a keyword. So you don't have to know your code, especially if you don't even know what that is. Now it's time for more personal information. So your date of birth, social security, address, and your personal income. Now the business owner type, clicking on this, you can put owner, CEO, CFO, anything like that, like managing member. Just put whatever fits you best. Now you can add employees, and you can also skip that. And then it loads up with the next page and it says 66% complete, so we're getting close. Billing options, you can either have a 1 bill sent to your business address or individual bills sent to your business address. Since this was my first US Bank card ever, I didn't really know what to put here, but I don't think it matters that much. Balance transfer, if you want to make a balance transfer, I said no, and I clicked save and continue. Then I just had to verify that I put all of my information in correctly. And once I did that, click save and continue. And then it took us to the next screen where we confirmed the terms of the US Bank Triple Cash Card. So you could see that 0% APR right there, and then just scrolling down a little bit more, you can see no annual fee and also that foreign transaction fee of 3%. I look for those 3 things on every card I apply for, and then I liked what I saw from these terms and I click submit. Then the circle spun for a little bit and then it said thanks for applying, you'll hear from us soon. You'll see in the mail in 7 to 10 business days if you're approved. I thought this was a bad sign at first, but turns out this was just the beginning of a very long process, and so let me tell you about it. I'll go through the timeline of everything that I went through in order to hopefully get approved for this card. So I'll say that this is day 0, the day that I applied for the card. It says right off to the right side of the screen that if you need help with your application, you can call call this number Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., but I was applying for this card late at night, and so I couldn't call in at the moment, and so I had to call in later. I waited a day in between to see if anything would happen with my application, but it didn't, so on day 2, I called in to ask about the application, and they just told me straight up that no application was received in their system, so you can always apply again. I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, how do you not have the application? I don't know, maybe it hasn't been long enough to have it show up in the system, but they told me to apply again. So on that same day, day 2, I reapplied for the card, had to go through that whole process we just went through, and then I got to the final screen and it said the exact same message. We'll let you know of our decision in 7 to 10 days through the mail. So I was like, okay, it looks the exact same, kind of weird, but whatever. A couple days go by and it's now day 6, and I got an email from US Bank thanking me for applying for the card. Before I opened up the email, I thought it was going to be something cool like, oh, you've been approved, but no, it just seemed to have registered in the US Bank system that I applied. So on to day 14. I checked the mailbox to find a letter from US Bank, and I saw that my application was denied. I was like, denied? This stinks. But I kept reading the letter, and it said I was denied due to a duplicate application. So my second application that was put in the system was denied, but my first application was still out there. I wasn't denied for that one. So I was like, okay, I guess that's not necessarily bad news. At least they got my first application. So a really long time goes by, and I'm even start to think that, oh, I guess I'll just never hear from US Bank. But on day 27, I checked my mailbox, got a letter from US Bank saying I was denied for this card. That was brutal, but it was the very first time I'd ever heard anything about a denial, and so it was time to call the reconsideration line. I tried to call, but it was after hours. They closed down, I think, at 5 p.m. Central Time, and so it's not great for my schedule, so I called in. They said, call back later, and so I called the next day. Oops, it was after 5 p.m. again. I must have forgot. And so I kept calling in like 3 times, and they still weren't open. But on day 33, I called in, and I'm like, this is probably going to be the last time I get to call in to talk about the denial. And so I had a really, really long conversation with the rep at US Bank and basically just explained what my business is and what I do. And basically the reason why I got denied for the card is because I had a thin credit profile. Wasn't exactly sure what that meant because I've applied for a lot of cards recently. I feel like I have a lot of credit history, at least with some of my older cards and a ton of newer cards, but that was the main reason. And after they looked at the application, they're like, actually, I don't think you really have a thin credit profile, and this application looks pretty good. So I am recommending approval for the credit card underwriting team to take a look at this card, and I'll let them know that I think he should be approved for the card. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Is there any way I can figure out this decision right now on the phone? And they're like, no, you have to call back in 3 business days, and we might have a decision right there. Or if we don't have it in 3 days, call back in 5 days. So I'm like, all right, that's a lot of work, but I'm willing to do it if you really think I'm going to get approved for this card. And they're like, I think you're going to get approved. So I'm like, that's great. So I called back on day 37 after applying for this card, and I just called in, talked to a representative, and they're like, well, congrats, you are approved for this card. You have a $10,000 credit limit, and you can get this card in the mail in about 7 to 10 business days. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Of course, I wouldn't have been like too upset at that point if I was denied, but I was really happy to get approved. As I expected, US Bank did pull TransUnion, and the card came in the mail. So right here is my US Bank Triple Cash card. Still have the sticker on it. Let me take that off really quick. There we go. You can see what the card looks like. The US Bank Business Triple Cash card. That's really cool. It is a vertical card. I mean, there's nothing much to it, plastic card, but I'm happy to get it. And I already made the $6,000 purchases to get that $750 of cash back. And if you guys care about US Bank, I would love to make a future video about my first impressions of US Bank and their application rules for what you might want to have before applying for your first US Bank card. And in the meantime, if you're looking for another video of mine, you can check out this one on why I applied for a lot of cards last year, so you can see my whole thought process on why I love getting a ton of new credit cards. So thank you so much for watching this video and sticking around to see that I was approved for this card, and I'll see you in the next one.